This is only for senior devotees like you. Let's go. I'll start now, bro. Should I start? Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaredhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvaredhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanechari Yamunatira Vanechari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Stotra Sata Śrīmad His Divine Grace I.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki, Shri Shri Radha Vallabha ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Sudaramai ki, Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Although we are less in numbers, but you are very enthusiastic. Thank you for that. There's less people, but there was just so much of vibration in the room that lifts us, yeah? So I think Krishna Janmashtami has given, and Srila Vyasa Puja, of course, has given us, Srila Prabhupada Vyasa Puja has, of course, given us that energy, that we are still, with the momentum, we are still being carried forward. Yeah? Although we may be physically very tired, but we are very enlivened. So thank you for that. So today, as usual, we will be reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and we are on Canto 6, and we have reached chapter number 15. And the text for the day is text number 9. So 6.15.9. Shri Sukha Vacha Evam Asvasito Raja Evam Ashvasito Raja Chitraketur Dvijoktabhihi Chitraketur Dvijoktabhihi Vimrajyapanina Vaktram Vimrajyapanina Vaktram Adhim Lanam Abhashata Adhim Lanam Abhashata. Shri Sukha Vacha Evam Asvasito Raja Chitraketur Dvijoktabhi Vimrajyapanina Vaktram Adhim Lanam Abhashata. Shri Sukha Vacha Evam Asvasito Raja Chitraketur Dvijoktabhihi Vimrajyapanina Vaktram Adhim Lanam Abhashata. Shri Sukha Vacha Evam Ashvasito Raja Chitraketur Dvijoktabhihi Vimrajyapanina Vaktram Adhim Lanam Abhashata. Shri Sukha Vacha Evam Ashvasito Raja Chitraketur Dvijoktabhihi Vimrajyapanina Vaktram Adhim Lanam Abhashata. Shri Sukha Vacha Evam Ashvasito Raja Chitraketur Dvijoktabhihi Vimrajyapanina Vaktram Abhim Lanam Abhashata. Mataji. Shri Sukha Vacha Evam Ashvasito Raja Chitraketur Dvijoktabhi Vimrajyapanina Vaktram Abhim Lanam Abhashata. Shri Sukha Uvacha Evam ashvasito raja Chitraketur dijoktabhi Vimrijya panina vaktram Adhim lanam abhashata Shri Shukha vacha Evam ashvasito raja Chitraketur dijoktabhi Vimrijya panina vaktram Adhim lanam abhashata Shri Shukha uvacha Evam ashvasito raja Chitraketur dijoktabhi Vimrijya panina vaktram Adhim lanam abhashata Sri Shukha uvacha Sri Sukadev Goswami said, Evam thus asvasitaha being enlightened or given hope. Raja, the king. Chitraketuhu, Chitraketu. Dvija uktabihi, by the instructions of the great Brahmanas. That is Narada and Angira Rishi. Vimrijya, wiping off. Panina, by the hand. Vaktram, his face. Adhimlanam, shriveled due to lamentation. Abhasata, spoke intelligently. Translation and, well, there is no purport. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki? Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, thus enlightened by the instructions of Narada and Angira, King Chitraketu became hopeful with knowledge. Wiping his shriveled face with his hand, the king began to speak. So there is no translation, we'll read some more until there is no purport, so we'll read until we find some purport. But what we know from here, in terms of what is happening, is that Narad Muni and King Angira are speaking to King Chitraketu. And Chitraketu, we are told, he is wiping off his shriveled face. Shriveled face means like his dejected face, crying kind of face. And then he began to speak. So that means before this, Narad Muni and Angira were speaking to Chitraketu, who seems to be dejected. Why is he dejected? Because he has lost his son. And we'll talk about that if time permits, but he has lost his son. So therefore he is in bereavement. And somebody has come to talk to him. So when he has already been spoken by Narad Muni and King Angira, now Chitraketu will begin to speak from the next verse. Let's see what he speaks. I'll just read it alone and just hear me out. Text number 10. Shri Raja Vacha Kauyovanam Jnana Sampannau Mahistau cha Mahish Yasham Avadhutena Vesena Gudhav Iha Samagato. Prabhupada translates. King Chitraketu said, this is the first thing he's going to say. You have both come here dressed like Avadutas, liberated peasants, just to cover your identities. But I see that of all men, you are the most elevated in awareness. You know everything as it is. How many of us know everything as it is? Pretty hard, yeah? And we are not Avadutas, that's why. So here Chitraketu is aware who is speaking to him, and he is acknowledging that you two are the most elevated in awareness, and you know everything as it is. Then he continues, therefore you are the greatest of all great personalities. Again there is no purport. So we read one more, text number 11. Charantihi avanau kamam brahmana bhagavat priyaha madrasham gramya buddhinam bodhayon matta Bhakta Linginaha. Translation. And this is Chitraketu speaking still, yeah? Brahmanas who were exalted to the position of Vaishnavas, the most dear servants of Krishna, sometimes dressed like madmen, just to benefit materialists like us, who are always attached to sense gratification and just to dissipate our ignorance. These Vaishnavas wander on the surface of the globe according to their desire. So what did Chitraketu say? That you two are the most exalted Vaishnavas and you are traveling all over the world to preach, and you have come to me to dissipate my ignorance. What is his ignorance? He has lost his son and is weeping on a bodily platform. I mean, it's natural, but it's still on a bodily platform. Yeah, so that's what he is acknowledging. Text number 12 to 15. Long text, long translation, and a long purport. So we get there. Let's go. Kumaro Narada Ribhur Angira. Because this is text number 12 to 15 together. Kumaro Narada Ribhur Angira Devalosita Apantarantama Vyaso Markandeya Athagautamaha Vasistho Bhagavan Ramaha Kapilo Badrayayini Durvasha Yagnya Valakyascha Jatu Karnas Tatharuni Romasaschyavano Datta Ashuri Sapatanjali Rishirveda Sira Dhaumyo Munihi Pancha Shikhastatha Hiranya Nabha Kaushalyaha Srutadeva Ritat Vajaha Ete Parecha Siddheshas Charanti Jnana Hetava. Translation. O great souls. A lot of names are mentioned in this translation, so see if you can pick up some. O great souls, I have heard that among the great and perfect persons wandering the surface of the earth to instruct knowledge to people covered by ignorance are Sanat Kumar, Narada, Ribhu, Angira, Devala, Ashita, Apantaratama, which is Vyasadev, Markandeya, Gautama, Vasistha, Bhagavan Parshuram, Kapila, Sukadev, Durvasa, Yagnya Valakya, Jatu Karna, and Aruni. Others are Romasha, Chyavana, Dattatreya, Ashuri, Patanjali, the great sage Dhaumya, who is like the head of the Vedas, the sage Pancha Shikha. Just remember this word here, this name, Pancha Shikha, because Prabhupada will explain this, or explain who this person is. Hiranya Nabha, Kaushalya, Srutadeva, and Ritat Vaja, you must certainly be among them. Chitraketu was talking to Narada and Angira. Purport. The word Jnana Hetava is very significant because great personalities like those listed in these verses wander on the surface of the globe not to mislead the populace but to distribute real knowledge. So these exalted devotees travel over the world to distribute real knowledge and not to mislead the population. So what is real knowledge? We will talk about that, yeah, at the back end. Without this knowledge, and Prabhupada is writing what happens when we don't have this real knowledge. That is why we will talk about real knowledge. Without this real knowledge, human life is wasted. The human form of life is meant for realization of one's relationship with Krishna or God. One who lacks this knowledge is categorized among the animals. The Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita 7.15, Namam duskritino mudha prapadyante naradama maya partha jnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lovest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion and who is partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. We will talk about this verse as well. Namam duskritino mudha. Prabhupada continues. Ignorance in the bodily conception of life, yasyatma buddhihi kunape tri dhatuke sa eva gokarha. Practically everyone throughout the universe, especially on this planet Bhuloka, thinks that there is no separate existence of the body and soul and therefore no need of self-realization. But that is not a fact. Therefore all the Brahmanas listed here, being devotees, travel all over the world to awaken Krishna consciousness in the hearts of such foolish materialists. Last paragraph, Prabhupada writes, The acharyas mentioned in these verses are described in the Mahabharata. The word Panchashikha is also important. Excuse me. One who is liberated from the conceptions of Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya, and who is perfectly aware of the subtle coverings of the soul is called Panchashikha. According to the statements of Mahabharata, Shanti Parva chapters 218 to 219, an Acharya named Panchashikha took birth in the family of Maharaj Janaka, the ruler of Mithila. The Sankhya philosophers accept Panchashikha as one of them. Real knowledge, Prabhupada comes back to knowledge, and he started the purport with knowledge, yeah? Prabhupada writes, real knowledge pertains to the living entity dwelling within the body. Unfortunately, because of ignorance, the living entity identifies himself with the body and therefore feels pleasure and pain. Om Jnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desa Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, we are looking at the episode of Chitraketu, and at the moment we are looking at Narad Muni and King and Angira talking to Chitraketu. So, Prabhupada wrote in the purport, and will of course emphasize on the purport. Prabhupada wrote in the purport that we need real knowledge, and that is what exactly Narad Muni has given to Chitraketu. And without real knowledge, Prabhupada wrote this line, I'll pick it up again, yeah? Without this knowledge, human life is wasted. So, we will talk about what does that mean. And Prabhupada quoted this verse from Bhagavad Gita 7:15, Namam Duskritino Mudha, and we will talk about this well. And why Prabhupada quoted that verse, we will try to see if we can connect it as well. So, Namam Duskritino Mudha Prapadyante Naradama, then Maya Apartha Nana Ashuram Bhavam Ashrita. So, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:15 that Mudha word is used, and that's why Prabhupada quoted that verse. Namam Duskritino Mudha. So, we are talking about the Duskritis. So, Kirti means like your character, your behavior, and Duskriti means your bad character, or bad people. So, Duskritina. So, of the Duskritiness, there are 4 types, and Mudha is one of them. Now, Mudha in Sanskrit, of course, refers to an animal, which is an ass, Mudhas. So, Krishna says that people, let's restart maybe. We talk about human rights. But in this verse, Bhagavad Gita propounds us the wisdom to rethink what is actually human right. And failing our human rights, we stoop to the level of animal rights. What is happening today, if you see when people are fighting for human rights, what are they actually fighting for? They are fighting for bodily protection and bodily maintenance. Everybody wants their rights so that they are protected bodily wise. And they want also their maintenance, because at the end of the day we need to eat. Yeah? So that is what is happening. But our scriptures tell us, you're welcome, just take a seat anywhere, or take darshan. But what our scriptures tell us, that the human rights that we are actually today fighting for is nothing but animal rights, which is automatically, naturally endowed to the animals even in the forest. Krishna has given them that. Ahar nidra bhai maithunam cha samanya me tat pashu naranam. So ahar nidra bhai maithunam cha, eating, sleeping, mating and defending, this is what we are fighting for today. But it's already given that's already given to us and to the animals. So therefore, human rights is a mistaken identity today when we are fighting for protection and maintenance only. And Prabhupada indicates that when we violate, this is amazing, just think of it. When we violate our own human rights, we are actually thinking that we are fighting for human rights, but actually we are violating our human rights by just stooping to the platform of Ahar Nidra Bhaya Maitunam Cha. So then the question arises, what is our true human right? And the same way, which most of us are, if not all of us are familiar with, Ahar Nidra Bhaya Maitunam Cha, Samanya Metat Pashu Nara Nam. So Pashu and Nara. Pashu is the animal and Nara is the human beings. So this Ahar Nidra Bhaya Maitunam Cha, which is what we are fighting for today and calling it human rights, is equal between man and animal. It's already there. Everybody is fighting for eating, sleeping, mating and defending only. But so what differentiates then? What is that thing that differentiates and makes us human beings and gives us human right is our faculty for philosophical thinking. That is not present in the animals. Animals cannot sit down and decide who are we, what is the goal of life. That differentiation factor is our philosophical abilities to think and contemplate and meditate and go forward and search for the answers of what is our position, what is our goal, and what is our destination. Or more specifically, what is our ultimate destination? Because we may have immediate destinations as well. Yeah. So when we can philosophically contemplate on these fundamental questions, which the animals cannot do, that is our human right. So if you are fighting for human rights, Bhagavad Gita redefines what is human right. Na mam duskritino mudha. Otherwise we are just mudhas, we are foolish, animalistic fools, rascals, ashes, that are just living on an animalistic platform. And Prabhupada then said, without this knowledge, which knowledge? That what is actually human right, human life is wasted. Now, what does human life wasted means? Human life wasted means that notwithstanding we have got the body of a human being, we have lived our life as an animal, just on the four necessities of life, Ahar Nidra Bhaya Maitunam Cha. That is why our Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the entire Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, at the end of the day answers two questions. Well, actually in real sense one question that has got two folds to it. Maharaj Parikshit has asked the question to Sukadeva Goswami, and this is why I am saying human rights means philosophical understanding. So what is Maharaj Parikshit's question to Sukadeva Goswami? How to live in this world and how to leave this world. When we are alive, how to live here. When we are living our body, how to leave our body for our final destination. So entire Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is answering these two questions only. Now animals do not ask these questions, no? How to live here. Or they just live by instincts. No? Whereas we are meant to use our intelligence. So human beings have been given higher intelligence to do philosophical understanding. So Prabhupada writes there, that Prabhupada quoted that verse, Na mam duskritino mudha. Now this is Bhagavad Gita 7.15, when four types of duskritinas are mentioned. Then immediately thereafter, Krishna talks about the four types of people who come to him. So 7.15 was four types of people who don't come to him. Then 7.16, Bhagavad Gita quotes the four types of good people. Who are they? Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna. Artho jignasu arthati jnani cha bharatar shaba. So Chaturvidha bhajante mam. Four types of people. Chatur means four. Bhajante means they come to me to worship. Who are these? Artho, Jignasur, Arthati and Jnani. So the Artho is the one who is distressed. Jignasur is the one who is inquisitive. Arthati is the one who wants wealth. And Jnani is the person who wants knowledge. So this kind of Sukritina. Remember, Duskritino and then Sukritino. Su means nice. No, Kritina means activities or characters. So these are the four good type of people who come to Krishna. Now, of these four type of people, the first three are completely materialistic. Almost fighting for their animal rights if you like. Because they are looking for artho, jignasu and arthati. They are also looking for distress from their life to be elevated. They are looking for money, and they are very inquisitive about, things, what is happening here. So, notwithstanding they are almost on the animalistic platform, Krishna mentions them as Sukritina, nicer people. And he welcomes them. And actually Krishna calls them Udharadhi in the following verse after 16, which is 17. Krishna says, I am indebted. Udhar in Hindi means, you take some debts, you take some loans. So Udharadhi means, I am indebted to those 4 types of people who come to me. Now we'll try to reconcile this then. Because what we know, and we are told, that to come to the Lord for anything material is not that nice. We come to the Lord only to serve Him because we are His eternal servants. So coming to Krishna for dharma, for artha, or for artho, relieving from our distress, or for money is certainly not recommended. But Krishna says, I am indebted to those who come to me, even for those things. And why is that? How do we reconcile it? Is because we also know that Krishna tells us that whoever comes to me, even if it's material, even if the goal is materially motivated, I will take care of them. I will see into their necessities for them to keep the body and soul together, and then gradually I will purify them. So everybody at all the levels, from all the races, from all the places, are always certainly welcome to the umbrella of Krishna consciousness. Absolutely everybody. Even the Duskritinas are welcome to Krishna consciousness. What to speak about the Sukritinas. So Krishna mentions like that. Now, but of all the 4, then Krishna says that the Jnani, so Artho, Jignasu, Arthati and the Jnani. The Jnani is the most liked by Krishna. Now why is that? Because while the Artho, Jignasu and Arthati are completely materialistic, the Jnani is not so much materialistic in that sense. Although he is, but he is not completely materialistic because he is looking for knowledge. And somebody is looking for knowledge about, why is the knowledge important? Because Prabhupada wrote that without real knowledge, human life is wasted. Somebody was paying attention. No? So without real knowledge, human life is wasted. And that's why Krishna says that the Jnani is the most dear to me, because he's literally looking for knowledge. The Jnani is the one that stands out and is actually looking and not trying to violate his human right. He's trying to find the answers to the most philosophical, important questions, rather than just looking for ahar nidra bhai maithanam cha. So then another point that comes now, the Duskritinas are condemned. They are not nice people, because of course they are vicious people, criminals. And that's one extreme this side. On the other extreme are the pure devotees of the Lord, who ask nothing of the Lord but just bhakti. And a lot of times we are caught between the two. Sometimes our desires are extremely gross. Sometimes our desires are extremely pure. When we hear about pure devotees and their prayers to the Lord and their service to the Lord, we get that impetus to become pure devotees. It's natural, it's contagious, yeah? So we want to be very selfless. We want to become pure devotees, which is certainly wonderful aspiration. But it is difficult to become pure devotees before becoming devotees. First, we should try to become devotees and then gradually elevate ourselves to become pure devotees. So, when we are not yet pure devotees yet, for now, therefore our relationship with Krishna has to be nurtured very, very properly with a proper understanding. And the point I am making is that whilst it is true that we should not go to the Lord with our material problems, and that is certainly the case with pure devotees, but because we are sadhakas, it is absolutely important for us to open up our heart to the Lord. And at the moment, unfortunately, what is in our heart is lot of material things. Agree? Yeah, some smile, some nodding of the head is coming. And why is that? Let's just be frank. We are living in the material body, which is in this material world, double compounded of material. And actually before we are born, when we are in the womb of the mother, there is 3 layers of material coverings. We are the soul in our own small body, in the womb of the mother, and that body is in the body of the mother, and that mother is in the bigger body of Virat Rupa, in the material world. So body inside the body, inside the body. So much of material coverings are there. So for now, at least we are out of the womb. We are still inside this body. So lot of material things is in our heart. Now what are the things that is very close to our heart? Namely wealth and our near and dear ones. Generally these 2 things. There will be more things for sure. But we are very, very attached to those whom we love, and we are very attached to our wealth. So much so that it is never enough. We want more and more and more because there is so many material desires. And material desires, we know through experience so far now that it does not give us happiness. It may give us protection and it may give us maintenance, which is the human rights, we think, but that is actually animal rights. Because animals are also protected and maintained by the Lord. They don't have to go to office. They don't have laptops. They don't worry about coronavirus. They don't have Teams and Zoom and all that. They still eat, they still survive. And they also die. We also die. So we are working so hard materially for these 2 things, protection and maintenance, which is ahar, nidra, bhaya, maitanamcha. So the mistaken identity. I was saying, so in our heart there is lot of material desires. And material desires, I said, does not give us happiness. If anything, it gives us little flickering happiness, but more so, it brings us miseries. It creates more problems than it solves. There is calamities in life, there is distress, there is stress, there is anxieties. The more wealth we accumulate, the more insurance we have to take because we are worried about fire. I was just reading last night, in the UK apparently, there is all the 3 natural disasters happening simultaneously. There is flood in one area, there is fire in another area, and there is drought in another area. Now this is unheard of, especially in a country like UK, because they don't know what fire is, as in bushfires, because it's so cold always. Even in winter, even in summer, it's cold for them. 40 degrees is something they don't know. They only come here to Australia and then say, really? Santa Claus in summer? Isn't Santa Claus supposed to be a winter thing because he's so rugged up? Why are you putting Santa Claus when it's 40 degrees in Melbourne? When I work with my UK colleagues, they laugh at us Aussies to say, you're wearing Santa Claus in summer, how is that reconcilable? That's a winter gown. It's a winter hoodie or whatever we call it, yeah? So they don't know this. But now they are facing it. What's 40 degrees? And so much so hot that it's burning. Literally, UK is on fire, they say. So, what was the point I was making? I was making the point that material desires brings us material sufferings. Recently, I was again, just to share something personal, I was in Fiji on holidays, back seeing family after COVID. And Fiji is a tropical country, and like India, I guess, as well. There is a lot of mosquitoes. We get mosquitoes in Melbourne as well these days in summer, right? A lot of mosquitoes. And I was getting this realization, and I went in May, so it was not that bad because there's less mosquitoes in this time. But in December, it's my goodness, you just can't get rid of them. So when mosquitoes come, I was trying to shush them away. And you have to do this continuously. Throughout the day, you have to do this. Just keep pushing them away. But invariably, some of them will bite you. You can't shush away so many of them. So they keep coming, and you keep chasing them away, moving your hands and legs and whatever, but invariably some will bite. And when they bite, if you scratch, it becomes more so. If you don't scratch, it's okay. It will, It will ping you, for some time, and then it will relief itself. But if you scratch, then it can even become a boil. So this is sense gratification. Prabhupada wrote about sense gratification, that most of the people on this earth are engaged in sense gratification. So I was getting this realization that sense gratification is like mosquito bites. They will keep coming to you. They will bombard us. Do this, do this, do this, you'll be happy, you'll be happy. And as devotees, we need to keep pushing it away, like how we keep mosquitoes away. But invariably some may bite. And if it bites, if we act more on it, it becomes painful and more painful and more painful. So as sadhakas, our endeavor is to push away sense gratification. But if something attacks, then there are rectifications to it. But don't let yourself just sit there and all the mosquitoes bite you. Then that will be the end of us. That will become unmanageable at the end of the day. Yeah? There will be too many souls. So like that. So now, back to the other point I was making, that our heart is full of material needs and desires and all that. If we don't wholeheartedly open ourselves to Krishna, what are the anarthas in our heart, and actually what are our material desires? It's of course not recommended to have material desires, but I'm making the point, if we do have it, open up it to the Lord. Why? Because, see, relationships are built on opening our heart, isn't it? When we say, when we like somebody, we open our heart to that person. In English, we literally say, we have given our heart to that person. What does that mean? It means whatever was in our heart, we have opened it and given it to that person, especially to the loved ones, yeah? Like our spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. We open our heart. So if relationship requires opening our heart to our beloved, and if with Krishna we want to build a relationship, and we don't open our heart to him, then what we are doing is divorcing most part of our heart from him. And that means the relationship is not built on solid foundations. So as sadhakas, it is okay for us to go to the Lord and tell him that, hey dear Krishna, these are my material desires which is just not getting off my heart. I'm trying and trying and trying, but this lust, greed, envy, ego, pride, whatever just comes and bites me like the mosquitoes. I'm pushing them away with that, what do you call it in India, that thing that you put, the paste, the cream? Odomos, Oh Krishna, I'm taking the odomos of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but they just, because the odomos is not strong enough, seems like, or maybe I have not put enough odomos, it just keeps coming. So I'm struggling and I'm suffering and I'm in anxiety. Please help me. Please help me. Now we have to be careful with this prayer as well. It is not recommended to request the Lord to remove our problems, because that is our karmic reaction. That becomes material in nature. If we ask the Lord to remove our problems, that becomes material in nature. So let's just be very careful. What the point I'm making is to reveal our problems to him. Not necessarily requesting removing our problems. Yeah? Revealing our problems help us strengthen the relationship with Krishna. Asking him to remove our problems becomes material in nature. There is no devotional service. But what we can request Krishna is that, oh my Lord, this problem, this anxiety, this stress, this distress has come in my life, and I know, I acknowledge philosophically that it is my own karma coming and biting me in the form of the mosquitoes. But please, my dear Lord, I am revealing it to you. If you can give me the strength to tolerate and transcend this problem. Asking the Lord to help us tolerate and transcend the problem is absolutely fine. We can do that. Removing the problem or not removing the problem is Krishna's prerogative. But asking him to transcend the problem is nice. And also add to this prayer, that if we also note in your prayer that if we only go to the Lord with revealing our problems to him, that is not good enough as well. No, we have to go to him with love at the end of the day, because he's looking for love. But in building that loving relationship with Krishna, we can reveal our heart and request Him to give us strength. Otherwise, if we just tell Him, this is the problem, if He can please solve my problem, then two things can happen. Firstly, there can be too much noise. No, that was not the problem. Firstly, two things can happen. Our problems may not be solved. If we go to Him only with the view to resolve our problem, firstly, two things can happen. Our problems may not be resolved, because the Lord may choose not to do it. And if that does not happen, then our mind might say, why bother even going to temple? Why bother going to Krishna? Because problems are not being solved anyway. Maybe God doesn't exist, or maybe Krishna doesn't care for me. And if the problem gets resolved, our mind can also trick us by saying, now the problem is resolved, I don't have to go to Krishna. Life is hunky-dory. Yeah? So if the problem with going to Krishna to resolve our problem is that we may lose faith in Him because He may not resolve it, He may choose not to do it, or it may get resolved and we lose faith in Krishna again because we don't need Him. So this is why it is not recommended. But we can reveal it to Him and request Him to give us more strength to tolerate it, and then develop our loving relationship with Krishna. So the point, again, I was making is that they are the Duskritinos, and they are the Sukritinos, and then they are the pure devotees. So in order to become the pure devotees, we have to become devotees. In other words, in order to develop a selfless relationship with Krishna, we first have to develop a relationship with Krishna. First develop a relationship with Krishna, then then elevate it gradually to a selfless relationship with Krishna. When everything else doesn't matter, it's only that I love Lord. Krishna is mine and I am Krishna's. That is the ultimate destination. That Krishna is mine, I am Krishna's. Nothing else matters. Yeah. So that's why Prabhupada said, if we don't have this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, then our life is wasted on the animal platform of Ahar Nidra Bhay Maithanam Cha. Now I said that I will talk about knowledge, and I'll talk about that for 5 minutes and then I'll take questions. Yeah. So Prabhupada defines knowledge in Bhagavad Gita actually as knowledge means understanding matter, understanding spirit, and knowing the source of both. So a triangle, pyramid. Knowledge defines, Prabhupada defines knowledge in Bhagavad Gita as knowing what is matter, knowing what is spirit, material, spiritual, and knowing the source of both, which is Krishna. That is complete knowledge. At the moment, the knowledge given, and Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam as well, that at the moment, the present education system, which is our primary and secondary school, is a slaughterhouse. Why does he say that? He says that because their focus of knowledge is at the wrong place. Absolutely, they have no interest in what is the source of both. There are three elements of knowledge, remember? They are not interested in what is the source of both, and they have no idea what is spiritual. And on the material platform, they also do not have complete knowledge, even on the material platform. It is very, very minute. Every day there is a new truth. Every day there is a new discovery. Every day they discover new planets. So it is ever expanding, which is nice. They are knowing more and more. But if you see the problem with this is why it is defined as a slaughterhouse is because it is it is looking at the 1/3 of the definition, and that 1/3 too is very, very limited. Now as devotees, now we don't confess that we know everything. Of course, Bhagavad has got everything. But we as practitioners, we don't confess that we know everything. We are trying to know everything. Prabhupada knew everything, but we are trying that. So our understanding can be incomplete. That is fine. But our understanding should not be incorrect. There is a difference. Yeah? Our understanding should not be incorrect. It can be incomplete, and we try to complete it as we grow. But it should not be incorrect. And the incorrect understanding is there when you have got the whole definition of knowledge wrong, misidentification. And therefore, on a completely materialistic platform as well. So Prabhupada said that the pure devotees of the Lord, and many names were mentioned in the translation, their job description is what? To go around the world and preach this knowledge, give them Krishna consciousness. And for us, that is our duty as well, to go around preaching to the general populace, not to mislead them, but to give them real knowledge. There are two types of gurus, yeah? Or there are three types in Australia at least. Generally there are two types of gurus. The pure, the bona fide gurus, and then the bogus gurus. A lot of bogus gurus in India. And there's a third type in Australia. Anybody knows? No? The kangaroos. just to wake you up. No? So they are the bona fide gurus and then the bogus gurus. We have to become the real gurus of giving the real knowledge, which is meta, spiritual, and the source of both. If we do that, give them knowledge and also give people warmth. No? Because at the end of the day, people are not looking for knowledge. Even in school days, we did not go to school to call us to say, I want knowledge. Did anybody go to school thinking like that? I want knowledge. We went to school because we were pushed into this school. And we found it literally boring at the end of the day, until, we read Bhagavatam. It just all became very academic and theoretical. Didn't satisfy. So we have to give people knowledge and give them warmth as well. Because, knowledge is, Prabhupada writes that knowledge is like the torchlight of knowledge. So why torchlight of knowledge? When there is light, two things happen. Light gives us illumination, and light can also give us warmth. They are, especially these days, in your bathroom and all that, you can put those heat lights. Gives you heat immediately. So if we give people too much light only, they might find it very lofty. Just too many requirements and too many rules and regulations. I cannot do that. They might not like it. If we give people only warmth without the light, then what happens? After some time, the warmth fades away and they find it very superficial. So we have to balance in our preaching the light and the warmth. Give them love and give them knowledge as required at that point in time. And gradually they will become from Duskritinas to Sukritinas to pure devotees. And that is why, to enable us to give them knowledge, Krishna takes avatar. He starts with himself. And day before yesterday was Janmashtami, then Prabhupada follows that, his appearance there. So all this Leela, Prabhupada Leela is there, Sri Krishna Leela is there, Ram Leela is there. Why is all this there? What is the purpose of the Lord's incarnation? Why does the Lord take avatar? There is one reason. And that reason is because He wants to attract us. The reason for Lord's incarnation, avatar, especially talking about Krishna Janmashtami, is to attract us with His activities. And what are the activities He does? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So to protect the devotees, to annihilate the miscreants, and to re-establish the principles of religion, the Lord does this kind of leelas. But the main objective of all this is so that there is enough for us to get attracted to Him. And this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam has got all that leela. Everything that the Lord has done to protect His devotees from the miscreants, to annihilate the miscreants, and how as He re-establishes the religious principles is all here. So this is the best of knowledge. If you want all the knowledge, read Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Very, very. And the more we read, the more nectarian it becomes. Again, back to making friendships, as I was saying. When you make friendship with somebody, the more you become closer to that person, the more he reveals himself or herself to us, correct? We reveal ourselves to somebody that we trust. So Krishna has appeared 2 days ago in his form as the deity, and he appears at Śrīmad Bhāgavatam as well. So this is literally Krishna. And he reveals to us the more we love him. So the same Bhagavatam, which may not make sense initially, it starts making sense, and then it becomes nectarian, and when it becomes nectarian, it becomes more and more and more nectarian, because Krishna literally reveals himself to us. So Prabhupada tells that human life is wasted without knowledge, and I was saying that read Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, or hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and get enlivened with Krishna's leelas in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. And that way, life becomes more blissful. Okay? So I will stop here and ask if there are any questions. Sivya always has questions, which is good. Yes? Thank you.
You said that what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that those who don't have the real knowledge become munas, and when we have the real knowledge,
Yeah, nice question. So Shiva's question is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that those who don't have real knowledge are moodas, and we have this knowledge, but sometimes when we are under difficulties, trials and tribulations in life, calamities, we forget this. So how to, how to not forget, I guess? Yeah, how to not forget at the end of the day. Well, it's an experience. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, the same Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text number 15. How does it start? 15.15? What's the first word? Vedascha sarve ahamaiva. How does that start? 15.15. What's the first line? Yeah, but how does it start? Sarvasya chaham hirde sannivisto mata sarvasya chaham hirde sannivisto mata smritam jnanam apohanam cha. So mata, smriti and jnanam. So mata is the mind, smriti is the memory, and jnana is the knowledge, and then there is forgetfulness. So Krishna gives us knowledge, Krishna gives us remembrance, and Krishna also gives us forgetfulness. So if we are forgetting something, and we don't want to forget, then at the end of the day, we just have to beg the Lord for His mercy to help us remember it. That's one way, philosophically speaking. We pray to the Lord that, oh my dear Krishna, I know you make me forget things, you make me remember things. Please make me forget all the bad things, and please make me remember all the good things. Please make me forget all the bad things I have done to others. Please make me remember all the good things the others have done to me. Please also make me forget all the good things I have done to others. Because when we remember too much of the good things we have done to others, we can become very proud, yeah? So forget that. Forget the good things we have done to others. Forget the bad things the others have done to us. And remember the bad things we have done to others. And remember the good things that others have done to us. There's a matrix. Hopefully you got the quadrants right. Yeah? Hopefully I got it right. And then, practically speaking, all the bad things that we have done, that we have forgotten, then try not to forget it. Learn from the experience. When we learn from the experience, then hopefully we should not make the same mistake twice. I remember that story we used to quote in this example. Yeah, let me see if I can get it. I'll think, hopefully Krishna makes me remember as I try to recollect. Remember that businessman who was asked this question by the reporter? We have shared it so many times in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, but let me repeat it. And Krishna help me get it right. So, this rich mercantile businessman, super duper rich, he was asked by the reporter. And this man, the rich person, was known not to speak too much. He was a man of few words but lot of wisdom. And certainly a lot of experience, and definitely a lot of money. So he was asked by the reporter, said, what is the secret of your success? And in one word he replied, because he was a man of few words, he said, experience. Yeah, experience? He said, experience. And because he's a rich person, he has been asked for press reporting and all that. So of course, media wants to know more about him, right? So that they can write and sell the news and all that. But he doesn't speak, and that's not enough to write in a newspaper. This man has become rich because of his experience. That's not a very good article, so you need some more. So then he said, okay, I can understand you are so rich because of your experience. Then how did you get this experience? He said, I learned not to repeat the bad experience. No, I have made mistakes, and I have learned not to make the mistakes again through that experience. I probably have got it other way around, but anyway, the gist was this, that we make mistakes and we learn from our mistakes not to make the same mistake twice. Because to make the same mistake twice is unintelligent. Yeah, the definition of a fool is one who thinks that the outcome will be different if you do the same input. The output will not be different if you continue with the same input. It will be the same, scientifically speaking. So we learn from our experience and help and request Krishna not to make the mistakes and not to forget Him. Because our fundamental rule at the end of the day, Acharyas have given us is what? Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. If we can do that, then we are successful. Okay? Anything else? Yes, Mataji? Thank you.
My question is, in the part where you mentioned people go to Krishna maybe for 4 reasons, and
Yeah, nice question. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna. Artha jignasu arthati jnani. So, one who is seeking knowledge, the jnani, why is he bad? Why Krishna calls him bad? So, couple of points on that. Firstly, Krishna didn't say they are bad people. They are sukritinas to start with. The duskritinas were the other bucket. This bucket are the good people. And he calls them udharadhi. I'm udharadhi. I'm indebted to them. So, certainly nice people. No, very good people. The problem is with the jnani, and the other three are, of course, materialistically, wholly materialistically, as I said, the jnani stands out as the best. But he is the best amongst the four, but he's not best among the others. And why is that? Because knowledge is nice, no problems at all. Two things with knowledge though. One, if you are only looking for material knowledge, that is condemned because it doesn't give us satisfaction. And two, knowledge itself is not enough to love Krishna. Knowledge is a nice impetus to love Krishna. Because when we know about the glories of Krishna, we develop loving relationship with him. Yeah? But knowledge is not what at the end of the day is important. It is the love that is important. So, the only knowledge that is required in that sense then is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is Bhagavan, and I am his servant. That's all that's required to know. If we can get this knowledge, that Krishna is God, I am his servant, we have got entire knowledge covered. But this knowledge that Krishna is God and I am his servant, firstly we don't know. Secondly, when we know, it remains as theoretical knowledge in the head, but Krishna is not sitting in the head. Krishna is sitting in the heart. Hridaya Sannivishto. He is sitting in the heart. So we have to transfer that knowledge from the head to the heart. So one who keeps the knowledge in the head only, then he is good, at least he is not materially motivated, but he is not the best. So it just depends where is our measuring peg is. When parents have got two children, one is always scoring in the 90s, and the other one is always scoring in the 30s. So of course the 90 is the best one, right? But on a day the child who was getting 90 gets 40 and fails, he will be given a slap, especially in our country. Here you can't beat the children. He will be given a smack. But the one who was scoring 30, scores 90, he will be given the best gifts ever. So it's very relative, yeah. It's very relative, material world is very relative. So the 91 is always praised, but the moment he falls, he is smacked. But the 31 who is always chastised, the one who was scoring 30, if he scores 90, he is praised. So, knowledge, when we compare with the four, the distressed, the wealth seeker, the inquisitive, and the knowledge seeker is the best. But if you compare him with the pure devotees, then the pure devotees are the best because they have got the real knowledge, which does not, Prabhupada said, which does not mislead the populace. That is bhakti, which is Krishna is God and we are his servant. Three things are the real truth at the end of the day. Bhakta, Bhagavan and Bhakti. So there is Bhagavan, there is Bhakti and we are the Bhaktas. That's all that needs to know. This is the permanent. Everything else is material. So then, because you asked this question, I'll just go one more verse forward in Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna. 4 types of people come to me and the jnani is the best. But then he says, maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe 2 verses thereafter, chapter 7, you can read it. He says that, Bahunam janmanam ante jnana van mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. That jnani becomes a mahatma, which is a pure devotee. And how does he become a mahatma? Bahunam janmanam ante. After many, many births. It can take many lifetimes for us to become pure devotees. So after many, many births, the jnani who has come to Krishna, Bahunam janmanam ante, jnana van mam prapadyate. Jnana is knowledge. Now he has got the real knowledge. After practicing Krishna consciousness for so long, he has got that real knowledge. And then with that real knowledge, what does he do? Prapadyate. He surrenders unto me. And that's exactly the message of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 66. Sarva dharman parityaja, mamekam sharanam vraja. Come to me, Krishna says, take my shelter, I will protect you. So here, that devotee who was not the 3, but the 4th, the jnani, is the best because he continues seeking knowledge. One day he gets to bhakti. Vasudeva Sarva. Then he knows what is Bahunam Janmanam Ante. After many, many births, Jnana Van Mam Prapadate. He gets knowledge, he surrenders unto me. And then what is his knowledge now? What is his understanding? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. That everything is Krishna. That is real knowledge. Even the material things is still coming from Krishna, yeah? So that's also spiritual in one sense. So that is real knowledge. Vasudeva Sarvamiti, and that person Krishna says is what? Sa Mahatma. He is a Mahatma now. Sannyani has become a Mahatma. He is a pure devotee. And Durlabha. That kind of rare pure devotees is very, very, that kind of pure devotional devotee is very, very rare. There are only few. And that is our lofty desire, to become pure devotees. So if we keep doing what we are doing, chanting, hearing Bhagavatam, then one day Krishna will give us remembrance, serious question, and Krishna will give us the real knowledge, your question, and life will be good. Okay? One more question. Oh, I was about to say. Yes?
The transfer of the theoretical knowledge to the knowledge of the heart, is that done through the practical service?
Yeah, so the question is, how do we transfer the theoretical understanding to our heart? It comes down to service and chanting and being humble and all those things, yeah. So it's a practice, yeah. We are practitioners in a perfect practice. So if we keep what's the saying? If we practice makes us perfect. So if we just keep practicing, trying to get Krishna in the heart, then that is the realization. It can take lifetimes. Bahu nam janma namante. But Srila Prabhupada said, finish of this in one lifetime. So somehow or the other, in this lifetime, we have to really digest the real knowledge and get it to our heart and then execute it. And so we can finish it off in this lifetime. So that in the next lifetime, the mosquitoes do not bite us. Grantha Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.